Fue una experiencia horrible, horrible.
Thousands of people risk everything to walk through one of the most dangerous places on Earth, the Darien Gap, a lawless jungle full of deadly terrain, wild animals, and armed smugglers, all for the hope of reaching America. The Darien Gap is a 100-kilometer stretch of dense jungle between Colombia and Panama. It's the only break in the Pan-American Highway. There are no roads here, only thick forests, deadly rivers, and lawlessness. It's one of the most inhospitable and dangerous areas in the world, yet thousands of migrants from South America, Africa, and Asia try to cross it every year. Are you ready to walk through one of the most dangerous places on Earth? In this video, we'll explore the terrifying journey through the Darien Gap, what it is, why people risk their lives to cross it, and the harsh reality behind this so-called secret path to America. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Telescope for eye-opening stories from around the world, told with clarity, depth, and truth. In the dense rainforests between Panama and Colombia lies a land that defies roads, resists settlement, and challenges even the most determined travelers. It is a place where the American continents connect, yet the modern world is forced to stop. Spanning roughly 160 kilometers, the Darien Gap is a sprawling expanse of untamed wilderness. On one side lies southern Panama's Darien province. On the other, northern Colombia's Choco department. Between them, swamps, steep mountains, flooded lowlands, and unrelenting rainforest. There are no roads, only the sounds of nature and the faint cries of those who dare to pass through. The Pan-American Highway, stretching nearly 30,000 kilometers from Alaska to the tip of South America, is considered the longest motorable road in the world, except for this 100-kilometer gap. Here, civilization halts. The highway breaks at Yavisa, Panama, and resumes again at Turbo, Colombia, leaving behind a no-man's land feared by travelers and governments alike. Despite its harsh conditions, the Darien is home to several indigenous groups, including the Embera, Wunan, and Guna peoples. These communities have adapted to life in the rainforest over generations, depending on rivers for transport, subsistence farming, and deep knowledge of the terrain for survival. But the outside world has brought new threats. In recent years, the Darien Gap has transformed into one of the most dangerous migration routes in the world. What was once a crossing only attempted by adventurers or researchers is now used by hundreds of thousands fleeing economic hardship, violence, and political instability. Many are from Venezuela and Haiti, aiming to reach the United States. But the journey often turns into a nightmare. Migrants face landslides, venomous animals, treacherous rivers, and torrential rain. But these natural dangers are only part of the risk. Armed groups, drug traffickers, and smugglers operate freely in this lawless zone. With no roads, no police, and no hospitals, the jungle itself becomes judge and executioner. Why, then, has this stretch of land never been developed? Since the 20th century, multiple efforts have tried to bridge the gap. From road-building plans in the 1970s to ferry experiments in the 1990s, the idea of connecting the continents has been explored and abandoned. Opposition has come from multiple fronts: environmentalists, indigenous leaders, scientists, and even agricultural agencies. The Darien rainforest is a biodiversity hotspot, home to species found nowhere else. A road could unleash massive deforestation, threaten native cultures, and even allow diseases like foot and mouth to spread northward, something North America has avoided for decades. Protected by two national parks, Darien National Park in Panama and Los Catillos in Colombia, the region serves as a vital ecological bridge between North and South America. It also guards ancient secrets. Archaeological findings reveal pre-Columbian societies once thrived here, with ceremonial mounds, paved roads, and advanced craftsmanship in gold and jade. Centuries ago, the Spanish conquistadors like Vasco Núñez de Balboa crossed this unforgiving terrain in search of the South Sea, what we now call the Pacific Ocean. Later, Scottish colonists tried to establish a settlement called New Caledonia here, hoping to control trade between oceans. Disease, conflict, and poor planning brought swift disaster. The jungle does not forgive. Today, the Darien Gap is more than a geographic barrier, it is a humanitarian crisis. In 2019, about 24,000 migrants crossed the gap. By 2022, that number soared to 250,000. In 2023, it more than doubled again, exceeding 500,000. Many do not survive the journey. There are stories of families torn apart by rivers, of bodies never found, and of children carried on shoulders through weeks of mud and fear. NGOs and journalists report makeshift graveyards, extortion rings, and entire...
But why do people risk it all?
For most, it's a final gamble, a desperate bet that somewhere beyond the jungle lies safety, opportunity, or simply survival. And yet, the debate continues. Should we build a road? Would it open trade and connect economies? Or would it destroy the last wild artery of the Americas? Engineers have proposed rail tunnels, floating bridges, even elevated highways, but none have left the drawing board. Over the past century, a handful of expeditions have succeeded in crossing the gap by foot, vehicle, or motorcycle, facing months of suffering just to travel a few dozen miles. The jungle has swallowed cars, broken bones, and tested every kind of human endurance. To this day, the Darien Gap remains unconquered, not just in terrain, but in principle. It challenges the very idea that progress must always mean pavement. It reminds us that some barriers still stand, not because we cannot cross them, but because perhaps we shouldn't. In a world of speed, maps, and megacities, the Darien Gap is a space that resists control, a wilderness that speaks in silence, and a jungle that has never stopped whispering, "Not yet." What would you do if crossing the jungle was your only hope? Let us know in the comments. If this story moved you, share it. The world needs to know what's happening in the Darien Gap. Behind every step in the Darien, there's a story of desperation and hope. Subscribe to Telescope. We'll show you the rest.